Okay, I figure it's probably about time that I make a tanking video. And a lot of the things that you learn in just hero-based shooters in general, all transfer over. I could tank in Overwatch. I can tank in this game too. I play Magneto, which isn't necessarily like my favorite play style of tank, but due to how I play tank and how I play DPS and how I play support, my knowledge of how to use his bubbles and his defensive abilities and his poking kind of translates over to where I can enable my team a lot better to sort of carry me than actually carrying myself. So this was a game where I believe I was target banned because Ronnie here was on my team previous to this game, and I went like 50-6 as Psylocke, and then suddenly Psylocke was banned for the first time the entire evening. So I can't help but feel that that was specifically targeting me. But I do know how to play tank. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play this game start to finish. This is GM2, GM3, somewhere around there, uh, and show you what's happening and the decisions I'm making and why. Make sure that the volume on the video is rather low. So here you can see that, like, even though I'm a tank and I have health, I have defensive abilities, I'm still finding my ways to play around cover. I'm trying to see if I can get any poke from afar to get any like early ult charge, and they're not moving up, and I start taking more damage than I'm dishing out, so I get out of that situation. I don't want to be in a situation where they collapse on me too quickly, and then I die, and then they push in. Game of numbers, remember? And right here, Bucky gets a really good pull, right? Like, we could say that our Groot, buddy of mine actually was like out of position. It's just a good pull. People do this in higher elo, right? But because I saved my abilities and I wasn't out in the open, I have a bubble to save him. And as soon as the bubble wears off, I then pop my metal bulwark, or the right click ability. I use that to push them back, and then I put my shield up in front in order to absorb more damage, as now he can get out safely, right? This is what I mean by enabling your team. You can use your abilities in a defensive way when you use them at just the right times in order to save your teammates. And if you use them both at the same time, you're not absorbing as much damage as you could. So try to stagger them. So once we get him out, now I'm playing back. I'm playing behind cover because I'm just trying to wait till my cooldowns are back up. And now that they are, look how I see it I take a different angle and I start poking at specifically the squishy heroes around the sides and on the back. And you hear that Bucky, that chain, that hook. Watch as I see the Bucky, and I throw my shield up, and I block it. I predict what he's going to do before he does it. A lot of times in Overwatch, playing Tracer, if a Roadhog was looking at you, he was going to throw his hook at you. So I knew that the moment he saw me, he was going to want to throw his hook out, so I brought my shield back out. So here I am. See how I'm just poking the squishies in the off angle? I'm not letting them take this space. I don't want them to come through here. Groot's got the left side. I've got this side. I am controlling that space. I don't need to kill anyone. I just need to make sure they don't walk forward and take the point. And here's the thing. If we spent the entire game in this one area, it would be fine. They wouldn't take the point. I don't need to get kills in order to hold this objective. Right now, we're winning because they haven't touched point. Once I see someone step out of position, I focus them. I'm continuing to poke. I'm continuing to poke. Right now, I know we have the advantage. I hear Groot get in trouble, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to bubble you out. We miss on killing the Bucky. It's fine. It was a good wall. Our Star-Lord was frequently doing a lot of bad stuff this game. So he got res because the Mantis. Or the Mantis or something else. Had a Morlock? So he was going to ult. Once again, I bow him. I shield him out. I am just trying to survive. I try to absorb as much as I can. And now, mind you, I know typically you're not supposed to ult the tank, but I was trying to absorb some of the damage from the Star-Lord ult. And I was also thinking to myself, I've never tried to throw a charged Magneto ult directly at a tank, and I wanted to see if it would actually kill a Magneto here. It got him low, but it was not nearly enough as I was hoping for, as that is more than enough for him to use his defensive abilities to stay alive. And now, immediately after seeing that I'm not going to have the burst to kill him, I go and I use my bubble, because I have full health. I don't need the bubble that badly. on my support to keep her alive, so that way I can buy her more time, so hopefully I can stay alive. She ends up dying anyway, and it's fine, right? I'm trying to retreat behind cover, it doesn't work, they collapse, they kill us, it's fine. I wonder... No. I'm going to say, I wonder if I should switch Strange. I'm always wondering if I should switch to Strange at times and just TP to point, but there was not enough time there. So here I am. I'm regrouping. You see how I'm not like just rushing towards them right away? I'm looking to see where my allies are. I don't need to push out there. See how I turn around all the time and I'm looking. Where's my teammates at? And once I see if they're close by, some of them didn't get, we all got close spawn. So I'm then starting to push up a little bit more aggressively once I know that they're going to be there soon, right? Once again, I bubble the group because I know the hook is coming. And you see how I'm always playing around cover? A lot of health or not, I'm playing around cover. I'm not relying on my supports to keep me up by spamming with heals. I'm playing around cover. We're playing for the group walls. We're trying to get kills in between there. Right now, we're just enabling. Watch. Cloak ults, so I bubble her. That Magneto then doesn't get the kill on her, which means we have the advantage as his ult is wasted and ours is still going. Using your bubbles to predict when you want, predict what's going to happen is going to help you a lot more than just trying to throw them out whenever you see fit. If you see your cloak has got 97% on her ult and you're playing Magneto, you need to track that. That's your job as the tank, is to track that, because a lot of times people aren't going to tell you when they're going to ult. You just have to predict when it's going to happen. So here, because of the fact that we had the advantage and the ult advantage here, it makes it much easier for a cleanup. Watch this here as you see how I stop attacking? I'm not attacking him anymore. I'm staggering him out as long as possible. Our teammate killed him, didn't actually have to right away, but still, we bought ourselves another couple seconds. And a couple seconds in this game could be the difference between a win or a loss. So when you know that there's one left and they have just the tiniest sliver of health, let them go as far as they can, and then take them out at the last second. So here we are, we're just applying pressure, and because you see, like right now, their team is still regrouping. Magneto only just respawned, and their Invisible Woman is still respawning now. They haven't had a full fight. They haven't gotten together for a full fight in a while. I threw out my shield a little early. Watch this. You see how I'm always playing around cover? Always. Even as a tank, I'm always being conscious of where my cover is. So that way, now when when Star-Lord ults, I don't have my shield and I don't have my bubble. So I'm waiting and I'm buying time. Now, mind you, here's a very important lesson that everybody should take away. When it comes to enemy ults, like if you see an enemy ulting, like an enemy Star-Lord, the supports should immediately go into heal mode. Like when the enemies are ulting, immediately go into heal bot mode. Try to sustain and survive through the enemy ults. DPS should immediately start focusing that person ulting. Try to kill them before they get any more value out of that ult. And tanks also should do the same, to be trying to dish out damage to try and kill them so you can shut down that ult. But also tanks, like first primary job is to use the defensive abilities to try and keep people alive. And then on the reverse side, if your teammates are ulting, you should be bubbling them and preparing that bubble to enable them farther, or use your shield or defensive abilities to enable them. Supports should be heal botting the person who is ulting. And the other DPS should be following up on that DPS ult, right? And this is if the DPS ults, but it's the same is true for, a tank ultimate or whatever else. Like whoever is ulting, either you go into full defensive mode, prepared to survive the onslaught, or you go into full offensive mode to try and enable that person farther. So right here, it was a good ult, but you see how I'm focusing him, and I'm like, he's got no cover. He's way too confident and way too arrogant to be standing out there with no protection. And because of it, he pays that price. People in this game get way too confident with their ultimates, thinking, oh, I'm going to press the button and I'm just going to kill everybody. And I'm thinking to myself, you press that button, I'm not going to run away from you. I'm still going to take that fight. I'm not afraid of you. Because if we all focus you, you're going to die regardless. So here I am. I'm just controlling space. I'm predicting the hook. Here, see how I have this good angle to just keep pushing damage? We actually could have killed that thing, but Bucky ulted. It was a good ult. At this point, this is a team wipe, right? And once I realize that we're all dead, you see me turn around and start walking back into them. Like, whatever, we're dead. Fight's over, reset. But notice what happens when you die more together as a team versus like when you're spread out. See how much more collapsed we are and how much more together we are as a team and how we're coming back to the point as one more single unit than they were. This enables us much easier to walk out now as 6 versus walking out as 5 or 4 and letting 2 people catch up. Once again, ooh, hiccup there. Once again, people get too confident, they get too arrogant, they think they can just stand out in the open forever and just rely on supports to heal them. Always be paying attention to where your cover is. Where can you get out of in case things go south? See how I enable my DPS in the back, who is once again not paying attention to his own cover. I am now enabling him, but because I don't have a defensive bubble, I am now backing away to try and keep myself alive. I'm putting myself in a position where if I need to walk away, I can. And here, I'm just trying to apply pressure. This is what tanks do. You apply pressure and you just push them back. You say, hey, 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 this is our space. I'm giving my DPS space to work when their cooldowns are up, and I'm going to just try and hold this space. Once I get a little bit low, I use my defensive abilities and I back out. Once again, remember again, bubble. I know that I bubbled her, so he's going to look either to me or to her. I look, I shield, I bubble and block both. Here, I thought maybe I could kill her in time, maybe I could get out. I couldn't. If I'm low health, I really shouldn't ult like as Magneto like that. I probably just should have saved it. But it's fine. I still enabled my team with our support ult. I did what I could. I'm coming back. My mistake, and once again, high elo players make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. That's how people end up living or dying. So, but still, I enabled my cloak and dagger that helped my team survive. Once again, I hear my teammate ult. What am I going to do? Where's my teammate ulting from? Who do I need to bubble? What's going on? And I look and I see it's just one guy back there. I'm like, I don't need to waste my bubble on him. So I save it. So here I am. And now, here's the trickling thing I'm talking about. Look at this. There's 60 seconds left. There's 60 seconds left. And Adam Warlock just wasted his cocoon here. And he dies again. Star-Lord dies. Now imagine if they all died. Because, look, there's Winter Soldier. Let's look back to where the last time we saw Winter Soldier, right? He's over here. At 111, Winter Soldier dies, right? Here we see him again. Let's wait and see how long it was until they actually fully regrouped. Right here is the time that they really fully regrouped. We should have survived this, like Star-Lord, once again, playing without cover, not paying attention. But it wasn't until about 38, 39, 40 seconds at best that they were actually fully regrouped as 6 because of the fact that they had staggered so hard there. If they all would have died and just regrouped, they would have bought themselves an extra 10, 15 seconds. But you see how, Star-Lord dies as I shield around the corner, and I play cover, and I wait. I have my bubbles up, and as I'm walking back, Groot doesn't have a defensive ability besides his walls. Star-Lord's in the air, he can see him. So what am I going to do? Since I am in front of Groot, I'm going to walk forward. I'm going to take damage first, and then once I start taking the damage, then I'll bubble. And you see how I'm standing directly in front of Groot here? He can't shoot Groot because I'm going to absorb that damage with my bubble first. This is body blocking. This is where it gets a little bit more advanced as tank. When you don't have a defensive ability, like a shield or a bubble, you use your body to absorb the blows. So that way your other teammate can tank some of that damage, doesn't have to tank all that damage. And look, he breaks the bubble and both of us have minimal damage as we back up around the corner. That ult really, which it's a Star-Lord ult. Star-Lord ult is really freaking powerful. But he ended up only getting our enemy Star-Lord, who was already out of position anyway. They shouldn't have needed that ult to kill him. But now as we back up and we gave up that space during that time because we knew that ult was extremely offensive and extremely powerful, We just gave them free space, but now because of the fact that it's over, we can retake that space back. Tanking is a lot about that push and pull dynamic. You are trying to push them back as much as possible. And at times, their power increases based off of the ultimates that they're using, in which you either have to match it with your own or you need to back up and just give up space temporarily, even if it means giving them ticks on a point like first point and then retaking it later. Surviving and trying to play around the objective is more important than just dying on point and losing it entirely. So here we are. You see how like I'm playing Magneto, but like I'm ignoring their Magneto. I'm looking at the squishies behind him and just peppering them repeatedly and hoping that my DPS are going to do the same. There's the soul bond. Once again, I'm always shooting at the back. Enemies ulting. What do? Look to see who needs your help. My invisible woman needs help. I bubble her. She uses the defensive ability. He's pushed so far back. And once again, the enemy Magneto also was like, oh crap, I got to bubble my guy. And I focus him. All of us did exactly what I was talking about there. The enemy was ulting. I bubble to save my teammate. I start focusing damage on him. The enemy Magneto puts the bubble on him to keep him alive. I start focusing him, trying to kill the enemy, do the damage and kill him, and it ends up working out in our favor. See how it like this is all the stuff that players don't really talk about, but it's just sort of things that we just kind of know because we've just been doing it so much. But just remember that when you're playing your games and implement it into your own play. So he's rezzing and I'm just pumping in damage, trying to kill stuff. Here, this is just like pure chaos. I am trying to control the space. I'm not trying to let them walk forward. Star-Lord jumps in and presses E, and I bubble him. I'm waiting. I press my shield at the last second. You see how I have low health? I have no shield. I'm backing up around the corner. I'm trying to play defensively. Once again, bubbling my squishies because it goes a lot farther on the squishies than it does on me. I might be able to keep them alive a little bit longer. I'm able to take out one of the supports. I buy enough time that Star-Lord is able to use his ult and take out everybody except for Winter Soldier, which is fine. Our Groot and teammates end up going on point and taking it back. But you see what I'm talking about here, where tanking is it's controlling space, but I'm still very much specifically choosing my targets carefully. I am not just spamming damage out there, hoping my DPS kills something. I am trying to enable my DPS by either bubbling them, controlling that space, off-angling, or using my abilities in a way to shut down the enemy alts or just buy us more time. Even just like by attacking the squishies in the back line, that gives more opportunities for my DPS to follow up on that damage than it is to just attack the tank. I'm going to fast forward through all this business. So here we are on offense. Moving up, and once again, I am trying to now use my shield to absorb a lot of the damage so we can walk up farther. We get a nice early pick. You see how I'm targeting the Storm, though? And you look how the enemy Magneto targets bubbles her, right? And he pushes me back, and I push him back. And look, I'm 97 health. I'm backing up. I don't have the health to stay out there. Even though we got the early pick, things aren't going in our favor. I don't have enough health to peek, but I'm trying to get my other tank out. But you see I'm always trying to poke at the squishy, especially the Storm, who's usually never behind cover. And because of the fact that that's about to happen. But watch this here, right? Once again, who am I going to look for? You know, you can predict what the enemy is going to do. Storm is going to ult your supports. They're going to ult the backline. So I am going to preemptively bubble my support to give her a better chance of surviving. I've done my part and I've given my bubble to them. Now I need to save myself from this Bucky. There's a lot of abilities coming out, and I see now that we're losing this fight. I thought Cloak was still alive, so I was trying to just get out. But then when I turn around and I realize that she's gone, I just start walking back into them to die. Because I'm like, I right here, this is one of those instances that I talk about where I staggered myself too far. I should have died much sooner than that and just known that the fight was over. This is on me because now look how far back I am from behind my teammates. This is an example of how you shouldn't stagger yourself. Like I should have known the fight was over and just gotten myself killed much sooner. So here, I bubbled him, I shield him, I try to get him out, and unfortunately, it just doesn't work. So here, right now, I am basically just trying to back out and charge ults because we are down two. There is no way we're winning this fight. And I bubble him because of the fact that he should be standing behind cover. Once again, your DPS or your tanks or your supports can help you DPS, but for the love of just find cover, stand near cover. Don't make us use our abilities on you defensively because we want to use those to to procure kills, not to just save you. Like find cover. So here you can see I'm constantly just like waiting and looking to see where my teammates are. This is why I'm against, by the way, like seeing your allied health bars on the screen, both in like Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. Knowing your teammates' positioning and their health is a skill. No, if I saw the health bars of everybody on my team at once, it would change from being a game that we're at that learning your team's position and knowing when to go in being a skill to just being like, oh, well, now I can just look and see on the scoreboard that, like, there's a flanker attacking my teammates without having to look. I am against that because of the fact that that would be a direct nerf to flankers as they capitalize on people not paying attention. I like the fact that I can turn around, look, see where my teammates and allies are at, keep a mental note of that, and then start to push in, which is what I'm going to do here. See how, once again, I'm poking. I'm poking the squishies in the back. I'm poking the squishies in the back. And I'm holding my bubble. And the reason why I was holding my bubble is because of the fact that Star-Lord had ult. He ults, I bubble, just the same as when Bucky ulted in the enemy team. The enemy Magneto bubbled him. Over for the squishies. I'm not gonna lie. That worked out in my favor. I don't I did want to hit the storm, but I didn't actually think that would work. Once again, Bucky's attacking my team. I bubble them so they can't get anything out of it. We have Storm ult. I shouldn't have held shield there. Now you can see here, like I don't play tank very often. This is the one tank game I had last night when I got target banned. My aim is not great, but I can still enable my team and not be the reason why we lose. Them target banning me also means that we have an advantage that everyone else gets to play their heroes that they want. And like, I'm not technically at an entire disadvantage here. I can still know how to play tank. Here's a little bit chaotic as everyone was like, this person's low, this person's low. And now, once again, we need control at this point, so we're just killing people as fast as possible. I'm bubbling my squishy heroes. I'm not going to bother shooting Magneto while his shield is up, so I start pressuring the rocket. Because I'm pressuring the rocket, he can't easily and comfortably save the Magneto. Oh, one of the things you're going to notice, too, is that, like, I don't use my right click very often unless it's to push people into a wall, get some quick burst out, or push an enemy back into my team and push them out of position. I personally don't really find as much of a use to just spam it randomly. It is good burst, and sometimes you can get a good kill out of it, but it's not that much burst than your left click. So I like the fact that if I need to use it to either push someone away or push someone into my team or push them into a wall and get a better, more accurate left click, I feel it's better to save it for those instances. But this is just something that I personally do. I don't know if that's necessarily the most efficient, but that's what I found that works for me. So once again, I have health, and we are now in the process of staggering. Invisible Woman is walking in a straight line. I can see, once again, remember what I was always talking about? Like, if they're looking at you, they're going to hook you. I am paying attention to the fact that, like, I'm doing multiple things at once here. I am thinking to myself, I need to shoot the Invisible Woman and cause the stagger. Also, Bucky has this hookup, so I'm going to predict it. Bubble. That bubble wasn't an accident. And that's something you always need to think about. Who's in front of you? What abilities do they have? What can they use on you? I knew that bubble was gonna, or I knew that hook was gonna happen. And watch to see here as he pushes up. He knows he's done at this point as he's just staggered the crap out of himself. So he just stopped moving there. And here, we're playing aggressive, we're pushing, we're attacking. We get a good lucky pick. But I know for a fact that my team is really far back on the payload. They're nowhere near. So we are playing relatively passively as we poke for more alt charge. And you see how we start to back up here? We know that our team isn't here with us. So we're applying pressure, but we're not trying to put ourselves in a position where we might end up dying. I put my shield up to make sure that Star-Lord doesn't die there, because once again, he's just not the greatest at knowing how to stay alive sometimes. And you see how now there's a full 6 of them? I bulb them to get them out. And we use our defensive ults to stay alive. I bubble my squishy characters. We're using our ults. This is all the sorts of chaos. This is just alt versus alt. This was a bit of an experimental moment here. I thought I could aim it directly, but no matter what, it seems Magneto in the direction will throw it straight down at an angle somewhat. So even though I was aiming upwards, he actually throws it down. Lesson learned. And this is what I mean by experimenting. You try things, you learn it, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So my ult ends up being wasted. That's a mistake on my part. But you see how, like, I don't let it throw me off entirely? Yes, I wasted it, but look, now I'm looking at the back. There's a Magneto next to me. I don't care about the Magneto. Look at that invisible woman right there. And you see how I push her back into a position like a wall or something? It makes the left click a lot easier to hit, because once it hits that wall, it immediately explodes. There's no way for me to shoot past it and accidentally miss. And once again, and now I start shooting the rocket. Because if the rocket is getting pressured by me, even if I don't kill him, you see how he can't just be sitting there just pumping heals repeatedly into the team? Now, mind you, we still lose this fight, but it's fine. I did my job as the tank, which is what I was supposed to do. I was still applying that pressure to them and securing kills and keeping their supports from being able to do much. But in the chaos of a lot of these games, sometimes there's so much going on, you don't realize the fight's always over right away. But this is also why it's good to communicate in mic and be like, hey, hold up, wait for me, wait for your tanks, right? You see how, like, once again, I don't care that the Magneto's there. I'm shooting past everyone. I'm shooting the tanks. And here, I'm trying to keep them alive. I'm taking an off angle as a tank. I am now controlling this high ground space. I don't want this Bucky up here attacking my team. I bubble my Storm, who's low because she got hooked into the enemy team. And because of it, we start securing kills off of it. See how we're just now collapsing on them? I went to the high ground. I controlled the space. I'm poking the squishies. I'm bubbling my lower health DPS, or I'm bubbling my supports to keep them alive, or I bubble the people that get hooked. Like, this is how you enable your team. And now I'm looking around, keeping attention. And once again, Bucky ulted. I'm attacking the Bucky. And this was a terrible mistake. I'm going to show you what Star-Lord did here. There is a low health Magneto, a Hulk, and a Bucky here, and no supports. So we kill the Magneto. Rocket's dead. There's only 2 left. If there's only 2 people left, there's no supports, and there are 6 of you, do not use your ult, especially a Star-Lord ult. Like, that almost cost us the game just because of the fact that if you see now, like, even though that these were still, like, staggers, we don't have that ult for when they come back in. It would have been much more useful for him to hold that ult for this moment here than it would be to use it when he did. Because now we're in a situation where it's a little bit more stressful. But now also, because of the way that we staggered, we know we have to kill this guy as fast as possible, which helps us a ton. And because of this, they're just going to step off and they're going to C9, but there's not much they can do. They don't have a tank there to, like, hold that space. So this was my tanking video. This is how I play tank. This is how I enable people. This is how I defend people. And remember, tanking is a lot of controlling space. It is enabling your DPS to do stuff. It's also saving your backline and peeling for them. It's not just walk forward, create space, and your team just magically does stuff. There are times when people are attacking your backline where you, as a tank, need to turn back around, peel for them, bubble them, keep them alive, and then turn back around again. As you're playing the game, your position and where you should be is always changing. It's always evolving and doing different things. Like sometimes you need to attack the squishies, sometimes you need to attack the tank, sometimes you need to flank their backline or pressure their backline, sometimes you need to save your own backline. It's just all about what's happening in that moment, and you need to make those split-second decisions as to what you should be doing. And also, like a lot of my videos have been talking about, predicting what the enemy is going to do before they do it to help enable your team and help counterplay against it. Because this game isn't just who can shoot better, it's a game of who can predict what the other one is going to do before they do it and then punishing them for what they did. So, yeah, hopefully this was helpful. I know I'm not a tank main, I'm not the greatest tank player, but if you're a DPS player like me wondering, okay, what can I do to play? Like, what can I do when I'm stuck on a tank role and I don't know what to do? Play Magneto and bubble the DPS in the same way that you would want to be bubbled if you were playing DPS. Cycle your abilities, your defensive abilities. Don't just throw them all together at once. Don't bubble and shield at the same time. Stagger them. Help your teammates out. Because I am not, like I said, I'm not a tank player, but what I try to do is just enable my DPS to carry me. I am totally fine. Like I got MVP this round, but I don't most of the time with tank. I am totally okay with letting myself get carried when there's a good DPS on my team. When I recognize there's a good DPS popping off, I will 100% spend the rest of the game just bubbling them the rest of the time. I don't have to be the carry every single time. So yeah, if you're playing tank and you're not used to playing it, hopefully this video helps. If you're a lower elo player, maybe this might help you too. Yeah. Anyway, that's my video on tank. I suppose after this, I owe you guys one on support. So, I might just do that, but I'm warning you, it's going to be rocket. So yeah, I'll maybe get to that soon.